Do you have any identification on you, sir?
Yeah, dispatch, run the plates on this sedan.
It's in the car.
All right, just keep your hands where I can see them while I check the vehicle.
Understood. They're right here on the door frame.
Rain tapped against the windshield like impatient fingers, each drop blurring the neon reflections of late-night Atlanta. Malik Rivers kept both hands fixed at 10 and 2, breathing slow, steady the way he'd learned to be on dark roads where sirens meant danger, not help. The hum of his engine was soft. The street was empty. He wasn't speeding. He wasn't drifting. He wasn't doing anything except heading home after a 12-hour rehearsal. Then the flashing blue lights exploded behind him. Malik's stomach dropped, an old instinct, buried deep but never dead. He pulled over, rolled down his window, swallowed hard. A cold beam of a flashlight cut across his face, harsh and unblinking. The officer leaned in, voice dripping suspicion. "Step out of the car. Now." Malik blinked. "Officer, may I ask?" That wasn't a request. His tone sliced the air clean. Malik felt the shift, the one every black driver knows, the one that turns a routine stop into something brittle, something dangerous. A car passed slowly behind them. The driver stared but didn't stop. Streetlights hummed overhead. Malik's breath fogged the air. He stepped out. The officer circled him like a threat uncoiled. Malik could hear his own heartbeat, loud as a drumbeat through his ribs. This wasn't about a traffic violation. This was about a man who didn't like the sight of him in a nice car on a quiet night. Then the officer leaned closer, lips curling. "People like you don't belong in cars like this." The words stabbed straight through him. Malik opened his mouth to respond, but another patrol car rolled up, lights washing over the pavement, and the second officer stepped out holding something in his hands. A printed photo of Malik. And the moment Malik saw it, everything inside him froze. Cut to black. Malik Rivers kept his eyes on the road, humming the last chorus he'd rehearsed an hour ago. His voice was tired, softer than usual, drifting in and out of pitch as the Atlanta streetlights flashed across the windshield. It was almost midnight. The city felt hollow at this hour, quieter than it ever admitted to being. Malik exhaled, letting the rhythm fade. Home was 7 minutes away. 7 minutes to peel off the stage clothes, drink some water, fall into bed. Then blue lights burst behind him. His hands tightened instantly. "Not tonight," he whispered, pulse jumping. He slowed, signaled, and pulled over, keeping both hands visible on the wheel. His chest tightened, a familiar squeeze he hated recognizing. A flashlight sliced across his mirrors. "Come on, man," he murmured under his breath. "I wasn't speeding." Footsteps approached. Malik rolled down the window and looked up at the tall, broad-shouldered officer staring down at him like he was already guilty. "License and registration," the officer snapped. "Yes, officer," Malik said, keeping his voice steady. "May I ask why I was pulled over?" "You match the description of a suspicious driver." Malik blinked. "Suspicious how?" The officer leaned closer, jaw tight. "Just do what I ask." Malik swallowed the retort, clawing up his throat. He retrieved his documents slowly, narrating each movement like every black man learned to do. The officer snatched them, barely glancing at the name. "Step out of the car," he ordered. Malik hesitated. Is something wrong?" "Step out." The tone wasn't loud, but it hit like a shove. Malik opened the door, stepping onto the damp pavement. The night air smelled like asphalt and rain, sharp and unforgiving. The officer circled him slowly, flashlight dragging across his clothes, his hair, his shoes. "What are you doing out here this late?" the officer asked. "Going home from work." "Work?" the officer snorted. "Doing what?" Malik lifted his chin. "I'm a singer." "A singer?" the officer repeated, unimpressed. "Sure." Malik felt heat crawl up his neck. "Officer, can you tell me what this is about? I haven't violated anything. You drive a luxury car at midnight through this district. That's enough reason. That's not a crime. It is when I say it is. Something inside Malik twisted. The officer's badge read Walker. His voice carried the confidence of a man used to being obeyed without question. Another set of lights flashed in the distance. A second patrol car rolled up. Malik's stomach dropped even further. Walker smirked. Backup's here. Officer Daniels stepped out. Shorter, younger, jittery. He carried something in his gloved hands. Walker called. Got what I asked for? Daniels nodded, though his eyes avoided Malik. Yeah. It's here. He handed Walker a printed photograph. Walker raised it, letting the streetlight illuminate the glossy paper. Malik felt the world tilt. It was a photo of him on stage during his last tour. Sweat-soaked, spotlighted, smiling at the crowd. Walker raised an eyebrow. So you are Malik Rivers. Malik didn't speak. The realization slammed into him. This wasn't random. They knew exactly who he was before they even pulled him over. Walker stepped closer. You think being famous makes you special? That's not what I think, Malik replied quietly. No. Walker's voice hardened. Because people like you, they get an ego. They forget their place. Malik's pulse roared in his ears. Officer, I have been respectful. Shut up. Daniels flinched at the command. Walker folded his arms. We're gonna search the vehicle. You don't have cause. I'll find some. Malik's breath hitched. I don't consent to a search. Walker grinned slowly. Consent isn't required when you're resisting. I'm not resisting. You're raising your voice. Malik hadn't. His tone was barely above a whisper. Car slowed behind them. A woman leaned out with her phone raised, recording. Malik saw Walker stiffen. Just a fraction, but enough. Walker barked. Move along, ma'am. He didn't. Daniels shifted nervously. Sarge, cameras. I said move. Walker shot him a glare. And don't tell me how to do my job. Malik felt hope spark, small but real. A witness changed things. Cameras changed things. Walker stepped in front of Malik. Close enough that Malik could feel the heat of his breath. Put your hands behind your back, Walker said. For what? Malik whispered. Walker smiled without warmth. Interfering with an officer. And resisting questioning. That's not. Walker grabbed his wrists before he finished, twisting them back, metal cuffs biting cold into Malik's skin. Malik winced but didn't pull away. Daniels looked sick. Officer Walker, Malik said, voice breaking. Please don't do this. Walker tightened the cuffs another notch. You should have stayed quiet. The woman recording yelled, Hey! He didn't do anything. Ma'am, Walker shouted. You're obstructing. No, I'm watching, she fired back. We all are. Pedestrians started slowing. A couple stood by a bus stop, whispering. Malik tasted iron in his mouth, though he wasn't bleeding. Shame burned through him as Walker shoved him toward the patrol car. Walk, Walker commanded. Malik stumbled, catching himself on the doorframe. Daniels spoke softly behind them. Sarge. This is getting out of hand. Walker snapped. You wanna lose your job? Daniels fell silent. Malik's throat tightened. Officer Daniels, he said, voice trembling. You know this isn't right. Daniels looked at him for the first time. Really looked. Eyes full of fear, guilt, something cracking inwardly. But he said nothing. Walker pushed Malik toward the back seat. Get in. Malik hesitated, one foot inside the car, one still on the pavement. Walker leaned in close, whispering, Welcome to the real world, superstar. Malik swallowed hard, heart pounding against steel and silence, as dozens of watching eyes and one small phone camera captured everything he could not stop. And the door slammed shut. The station smelled of bleach and old paper. Sterile, unsettling, a place where time didn't move so much as grind forward. Malik sat on a hard metal bench, wrists red from the cuffs that Officer Walker had only removed after shoving him into the processing room. His pulse still thudded unevenly. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed like angry insects. A desk officer typed lazily at a computer. Walker stood beside him, recounting the incident, with a confidence that made Malik's skin crawl. He became aggressive, Walker said. Raised his voice, refused commands, attempted to interfere with lawful duties. That's not true, Malik said quietly. Walker didn't even look at him. Suspect is agitated. As you can see. Malik clenched his jaw. You know I didn't do any of that. The desk officer raised an eyebrow. Sir, you'll get your turn. My turn. Malik let out a short, exhausted laugh. My turn started on the street. Walker turned eyes sharp. Watch it. Malik's fingers curled into fists against his knees. He forced his breathing to slow. Losing control gave Walker exactly what he wanted. A young officer walked in. Black, mid-20s, uniform crisp, eyes alert. His name tag read Harris. He glanced between Malik and Walker, reading the tension instantly. Sergeant Walker, Harris said. I'll take the fingerprints if you want a break. Walker snorted. I don't need a break. Harris hesitated. Phil. I can handle it. Walker's jaw flexed. Something in Harris's tone annoyed him. But he stepped aside. Fine, he muttered. But hurry. We're writing up resisting charges. Malik stared. I did not resist. Walker leaned close, voice low but sharp. You resisted by existing exactly the way you think you're allowed to. Harris's eyes widened slightly, just enough for Malik to see the shock he tried to hide. Sergeant, Harris said carefully. Maybe I should. Walker shot him a look that silenced the rest. Harris swallowed and gestured toward the back. This way, Mr. Rivers. Malik stood, following him down a narrow hallway. Harris opened a door to a fingerprinting area and closed it behind them. For the first time since the stop, Malik felt a moment of breathing space. I'm sorry you're here, Harris whispered. Malik studied him. You know what Walker did was wrong. I know, Harris said. His voice cracked just a little. But knowing and proving are two different things. Is this normal? Malik asked. What he did? Harris hesitated, then nodded once. He targets black drivers, especially ones with nice cars. Says they don't match the area. Every complaint filed against him disappears. Malik's stomach tightened. Disappears how? Internal Affairs never pursues them. Harris lowered his voice further. Everyone knows he has friends high up. Malik exhaled shakily. So he can do whatever he wants. Harris didn't respond. You're telling me he pulled me over because he wanted to humiliate a black man with a nicer car than his? Malik asked. He recognized you, Harris whispered. Before he even left his cruiser. I heard him on the radio asking Daniels to pull your photo. The room tilted for a moment. Malik steadied himself on the fingerprint scanner table. He planned this, Malik said. Walker always plans, Harris replied. He pushes just far enough to make you break. Then he uses the break against you. Malik pressed a hand to his forehead. I just wanted to go home. I know. Harris's voice softened. Let me get your prints done. Then they'll move you to holding. Am I being charged? Harris sighed. Walker is recommending resisting and obstruction. But what? Harris looked at him directly. Get a lawyer. Fast. Malik's chest tightened. I will. Harris rolled his chair closer and began the fingerprinting process. His hands were steady, but his eyes kept darting to the hallway, as if terrified Walker might return. You don't have to talk to Walker, Harris whispered. Anything he says. Just stay quiet. Malik let out a bitter laugh. I've been quiet all my life. Harris met his gaze. Maybe too quiet. Before Malik could respond, the door swung open. Walker stepped in, smirking. Done yet? Almost, Harris said, straightening. Walker looked Malik up and down with a careless sneer. Enjoying our hospitality, superstar? Malik kept his voice even. I just want to leave. Not happening, Walker replied. You'll be here until you learn respect. Malik swallowed. Respect goes both ways. Walker stepped forward, eyes narrowing. Not tonight, it doesn't. Harris subtly positioned himself between them. Sergeant, I'll escort him to holding. Walker ignored him. You think fame protects you. You think money protects you. You step out of line, I put you back. Malik's pulse raced. I didn't step out of line. You questioned me, Walker said. That's enough. Harris said quietly. Sergeant, let me take him. Please. Walker glared but finally stepped back. Fine. Take him. And make sure he remembers who's in charge here. He left, door slamming behind him. Malik released a breath he'd been holding. Harris rubbed his forehead. You need to call someone. Now. My manager, Malik said. He'll call my attorney. They walked down another hallway. The holding room felt colder, more hostile than the others. Harris unlocked the door, but before Malik entered, Harris whispered, I'll try to keep Walker away from you. Malik nodded. Thank you. Harris lowered his voice. Don't thank me. Just survive the night. Malik stepped inside. Minutes later, a phone was placed in his hands. His manager answered instantly. Malik, what happened? Are you okay? No, Malik whispered. I'm not. His voice broke, the words falling like stones. I need help. We're coming. We're coming right now. The call ended. Malik sat on the cold bench, head in his hands. From down the hall, Walker's voice echoed sharply. People like him should have stayed in their lane. Malik's eyes closed. He knew then. This wasn't an accident. It was the beginning. The sun hadn't fully risen when Malik was released, but the world outside the station felt too bright, like every light was pointed directly at him. His lawyer, Jordan Tate, walked beside him, phone buzzing non-stop. Malik's manager, Cora, hovered on his other side, eyes sharp with fury and fear. You okay to walk? Cora whispered. I'm fine, Malik murmured, though the shakiness in his legs betrayed him. Jordan stopped at the curb. Before we go anywhere, you need to see something. Malik blinked. See what? Jordan unlocked his phone and held the screen out. A video, shaky, grainy, filmed from a distance, showed Malik standing beside his car, hands up, Walker circling him like prey. The recording captured Walker's voice clearly. People like you don't belong in cars like this. Malik's breath hitched. The video kept going. Walker twisting his wrists, shoving him, the woman yelling, Daniel's looking sick. It ended abruptly when the patrol car door slammed. Malik felt the ground tilt under him. How many people have seen this? He whispered. Cora whispered. Everyone. Jordan nodded grimly. The clip went viral at 3 a.m. It's all over social media. Millions of views. News networks picked it up. They're looping it on morning broadcasts right now. Malik stared at the screen. I looked terrified. You were terrified, Cora said, voice cracking. A group across the street whispered while pointing at him. Some faces sympathetic, others curious, others hesitant. Malik's pulse spiked. I don't want people looking at me, he muttered. They're looking at what happened to you, Jordan said. Not you. Feels like the same thing, Malik whispered. Cora unlocked the SUV door. Let's get you home. The house felt unfamiliar after the night he'd had. Malik sank onto the couch, pressing his palms to his eyes. Cora stood in front of him, hands on her hips. Malik, we need to talk strategy. I don't want strategy, he said quietly. I want sleep. You can't sleep through this, Cora said. Not today. Jordan sat down across from him. We need to decide how public you want to be. People are angry. They're demanding you speak. Malik looked up slowly. Speak. About what? Jordan's tone softened. About how Walker treated you. Malik shook his head. I've never talked about politics or racism publicly. Ever. Cora crouched beside him. You didn't choose this moment. It came for you. Malik leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Why me? There are dozens of other stops. Why this one? Jordan sighed. Because you're famous. Because someone filmed it. Because the clip is undeniable. No department spin can hide what Walker said. The doorbell rang suddenly. Malik flinched. Cora peeked through the window. Reporters. At least 6. Already. Malik whispered. Cora turned to him. Do not open the door. I'll handle it. She stepped outside, voice firm as she blocked the cameras. Malik could hear pieces of their questions through the walls. Do you plan to press charges? Was this racially motivated? Are you planning a statement? Why was Officer Walker targeting you? Malik closed his eyes. Jordan's phone vibrated again. He glanced at it, expression grim. Walker's already responding. Malik opened his eyes. What did he say? Jordan read from the screen. He told a local reporter the video is taken out of context, and he acted with full legal authority. He claims you escalated. Malik stared at him. Escalated? I didn't do anything. He's protecting himself, Jordan said. This is just beginning. Malik clenched his jaw. Of course he is. His gaze drifted to the TV remote. With a shaking hand, he picked it up and turned on the news. The video played again. His face frightened, Walker's voice dripping hostility. A reporter narrated. Concern grows as the public demands answers from the Atlanta Police Department after viral footage shows what many are calling a racially motivated stop of award-winning singer Malik Rivers. Malik watched himself being shoved into the patrol car. He felt exposed. Trip. The world watching the most humiliating moment of his life. Cora returned inside and sat beside him. You have to breathe, sweetheart. I'm breathing, Malik whispered. No, you're holding everything in, Cora said softly. Malik's eyes stayed locked on the screen. The segment replayed from a different angle. Someone else had filmed too. Are there more videos? He asked. A few, Jordan said. Different parts of the stop. People across the street filmed from a distance. Malik wiped his palm across his face. God! Silence settled. Then Jordan asked, do you want to make a statement? Even a short one? Malik didn't answer immediately. The weight on his chest felt heavier than any stage anxiety he'd ever felt. He wasn't performing. He wasn't singing. He wasn't being interviewed about music. He was being asked to speak about something he'd spent his entire life trying to avoid. The fear of being a black man in front of a badge. I don't know what to say, Malik whispered. I don't know how to speak about this without shaking. Cora squeezed his shoulder. Then speak while shaking. Malik looked at her. Your voice matters, she said. Not the polished version. The real one. Malik swallowed hard. A news anchor's voice rose from the TV. Officer Trent Walker has been placed under preliminary supervisory review. Sources say he may face temporary leave pending investigation. Malik's heart pounded. Jordan stood. This is your moment to control the narrative. Otherwise Walker will twist it. Malik shook his head. I'm not trying to fight a system. Malik, Jordan said, leaning close. The system already picked a fight with you. Malik's breath trembled. He looked again at the screen, at his own terrified face, frozen under cold streetlights. Everything he had pushed down for years was coming up. I need a minute alone, he whispered. Cora nodded and guided the others out of the room. When the door closed, Malik replayed the video one more time. Watched Walker's smirk. Watched his own fear. Watched the moment the cuffs closed. And then, unexpectedly, Malik broke. His hands covered his face as tears fell. Quiet, painful, unstoppable. Years of swallowed fear, hidden humiliation, and silence collapsed inside him like a dam bursting. A soft knock interrupted the moment. Mr. Rivers. A voice called through the door. Not Cora. Not Jordan. Reporter. Mr. Rivers. Would you be willing to speak with us? Malik looked up, tears still streaking his cheeks. The world wasn't waiting. It was already here. Malik stood in front of the living room mirror, palms sweating, throat tight. A camera crew waited on the other side of the door, small, respectful, invited by Cora only after he finally whispered, "Okay, I'll talk." His reflection looked unfamiliar, older somehow. The night had carved something into his eyes. Cora entered quietly. "You ready?" "No," Malik said. She smiled sadly. "Perfect. That means you're human." He tried to exhale evenly. Didn't work. "What if I say the wrong thing?" Jordan stepped in behind her. "There is no wrong thing. There's only the truth." "The truth feels dangerous," Malik whispered. Jordan nodded. "It always does." "Not, Mr. Rivers. We can begin whenever you're comfortable." "Comfortable?" Malik almost laughed. He walked to the center of the room, where a single chair waited beneath soft lighting. He sat slowly. The camera operator adjusted focus. The interviewer, a black woman with steady eyes, gave him a gentle nod. "When you're ready," she said. Malik swallowed. "I guess now." The camera's red light blinked on. The interviewer spoke softly. "Malik, in your own words, what happened last night?" Malik stared at his hands. "I was driving home. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't swerving. I was just existing. Me, Officer Walker, made me feel like that was a crime." He hesitated. The interviewer waited. Malik's voice cracked. "I've been pulled over before. Most black men have. But this was different." He wasn't asking questions. He was hunting for a reason to break me. Jordan watched from the corner, nodding subtly. Malik continued. "I kept thinking, don't breathe wrong, don't blink wrong. Every second felt like the moment something irreversible could happen." Tears pricked his eyes. He forced them down. The interviewer asked, "What did you feel when he said, 'People like you don't belong in cars like this'?" Malik's jaw tightened. "Small. Like I was 12 years old again. Like no matter what I accomplish, no matter how hard I work, someone with a badge can look at me and still see a threat." Cora wiped her eyes discreetly. "And when he handcuffed you?" she asked. Malik stared at the floor. "I felt humiliation, fear, shame I didn't earn, and anger I didn't know I carried." He looked up, voice trembling. "I was terrified I wouldn't make it home." The room went still. He added softly, "And that fear has lived in me longer than my music career." The interviewer paused, then asked, "Why speak now?" Malik closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, something steadier had formed. "Because someone recorded it," he said. "Because the world finally saw what I've seen my whole life. And maybe if I speak, someone else won't get hurt." The interviewer nodded. "Thank you, Malik." The camera light blinked off. Malik leaned back, exhausted, as though he'd run miles. Cora touched his shoulder. "You did it. It feels like I ripped something open," he whispered. "Sometimes things need to open before they heal," she replied. Hours later, the interview aired on national TV. Malik sat on the couch, legs pulled close, watching himself speak. Seeing the vulnerability on screen made his stomach flip. Comments flooded social media. Support, outrage, grief, disbelief. Hashtags with his name. Hashtags with Walker's name. Hashtags calling for justice. Jordan's phone buzzed relentlessly. Protests outside the police department. Hundreds already. Malik rubbed his temples. Hundreds. Approaching thousands, Jordan corrected. "This is moving fast." Cora paced near the window. "Walker won't take this quietly. Not with that ego." As if summoned, Jordan's phone buzzed again. He looked at the screen, frowned, then exhaled sharply. "Oh boy." Malik tensed. "What?" Jordan read aloud. "I acted professionally and within law. Mr. Rivers is exaggerating to stay relevant. Famous people think they're above the rules. Officer Walker." Malik's face hardened. Above the rules. He twisted my arm for breathing. Walker's in panic mode, Jordan said. He's trying to reframe everything. A breaking news alert flashed on the TV. Officer Walker placed on temporary administrative leave pending review. Cora crossed her arms. They're stalling. Hoping it dies down. Jordan shook his head. Not this time. The video is too clear. Malik stared at the screen, heart pounding. What happens now? Jordan hesitated. Now you file an official civil rights complaint. Malik's breath caught. A legal complaint. A formal one, Jordan said. This isn't just a bad traffic stop. This is a pattern. We found records. Walker has dozens of complaints. Cora added. All dismissed. Internal affairs never pushed them. Malik blinked. Dozens. Jordan nodded. Same type of victims. Same type of stops. Malik leaned back, stunned. He's been doing this for years. Yes, Jordan said quietly. And the department protected him. Malik rubbed his face, overwhelmed. If I file this, it becomes bigger than me. Jordan crouched down. Malik. It already is. Silence filled the room. Finally Malik whispered. Then let's do it. Jordan nodded. I'll prepare the paperwork. That afternoon, Malik stood behind a podium at a small press conference. Just him, Jordan, and a backdrop of cameras. His hands trembled slightly. Jordan whispered. Just speak your truth. Like earlier. Malik stepped up to the microphone. Reporters leaned forward. I filed an official complaint today. Malik began. Not because I want revenge. Not because I want attention. But because no one should experience what I did for simply existing. Cameras flashed. I was treated like a criminal for driving home, Malik continued. And that is not law enforcement. That is prejudice with a badge. Reporters murmured. And if this can happen to me, he said, voice firming, imagine the people who never get recorded, never get interviewed, never get believed. A hush swept the room. Malik exhaled. My hope is for accountability. Not just for me, but for everyone who has been silenced. When he stepped away, applause broke out from a small cluster of supporters behind the barrier. Malik froze, startled, then allowed himself the smallest nod. Jordan leaned in. You did good. Cora smiled proudly. You did more than good. Malik looked back at the flashing cameras, the reporters scribbling notes, the eyes watching him now through a different lens. He had spent years using his voice only to sing. Today he had used it to speak. And the world was listening. As they walked off stage, Jordan checked his phone. Walker just took a sudden leave of absence. Malik stopped walking. What does that mean? Jordan's expression darkened. It means he's planning something. The threat started with a whisper. At first, Malik thought the buzzing on his phone was just the whirlwind of interviews, legal meetings, and messages from friends checking in. But when he opened the first anonymous text, a coldness spread across his chest. Liar. Keep talking and see what happens. He stared at the screen, pulse spiking. A minute later another one. Should have kept your mouth shut. Cora found him frozen in the kitchen, phone trembling in his hand. Malik. What is it? He handed her the screen. She read it, jaw tightening. I'll have security increase surveillance around the house. And I'm calling Jordan. Malik leaned on the counter. This is what Walker wanted. To scare me silent. No, Cora said sharply. This is what cowards do when truth threatens them. But the messages kept coming. Not dozens, hundreds. Voicemails, emails, blocked number calls. You're ruining a good cop's life. You're lying for fame. Stay in your place. We know where you live. Each one felt like a stone hurled through a window in Malik's chest. By evening, Malik sat in the living room with the curtains drawn, heart thudding at every small noise outside. Security paced outside in coordinated intervals. The house felt less like a home and more like a bunker. Jordan arrived in a rush. Show me everything. Malik handed him the phone. Jordan scrolled through messages, face darkening with every new threat. This isn't just trolling. This is coordinated harassment. Cora folded her arms. Walker's supporters. Some, Jordan said. Others are just people who feel empowered when someone like Walker gets challenged. Malik rubbed his forehead. People like Walker. The room fell quiet. Jordan crouched beside him. We'll report this. You're not alone. Malik nodded, though the reassurance felt thin. That night Malik tried to sleep, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw blue lights flashing, heard Walker's voice. Sharp, taunting, dripping with power. He tossed, turned, sat up, paced. The house was dim, silent except for the soft footsteps of security outside. He stepped into the hallway, rubbing his eyes. The air felt heavy, like a storm pressing against the walls. A sudden knock startled him. Malik froze. "Hello. It's me," Jordan called softly. "Open up." Malik unlocked the door. Jordan stepped inside, carrying a small flash drive in his hand. "What's that?" Malik asked. Jordan's face looked strained. "Daniels showed up at my office." Malik blinked. "Officer Daniels." Jordan nodded. "He's terrified. Said Walker is spiraling. Said he couldn't keep quiet anymore." Malik's pulse quickened. "What did he give you?" "This." Jordan held up the flash drive. "He says it's the dashcam audio. Partially corrupted, but usable." Malik's breath hitched. "Audio? Of what he said?" "Of everything." Cora entered from the kitchen, eyes wide. "Play it. Now." Jordan plugged the drive into Malik's laptop. A folder popped open. One file, timestamped the night of the stop. Jordan clicked play. Static crackled. Faint hum. Then voices emerged. Muffled but unmistakable. "Walker. Got a VIP tonight." "Daniels. You recognized him?" "Walker. Of course I did. Let's see how the superstar reacts when he's treated like the rest of them." Malik stiffened. The words hit like a physical strike. Cora covered her mouth. "Oh my God." More static. Then Walker again. "People like him think they're untouchable. I'll fix that." Daniels. "Sergeant this is." Walker. "Shut up and follow my lead." The audio cut out abruptly. Malik sat back stunned. This proves he targeted me." Jordan nodded slowly. "This is evidence. Real, undeniable evidence." Cora stared at the laptop. "Daniels gave this willingly." "He was shaking," Jordan said. "Said Walker threatened him after your interview aired." "Threatened him how?" Malik asked. Jordan hesitated. "Told him if he didn't keep the story straight, he'd regret it." Malik swallowed hard. "So Daniels is risking his career. And maybe his safety," Jordan added. "We need to protect him too." Malik rubbed his face with both hands, overwhelmed. "This is bigger than just a complaint now. This is systemic." Jordan nodded. "And it's enough to push the state to investigate." Malik looked at the screen again, at the paused audio file that captured Walker's real intentions. A mix of anger, fear, and a strange sense of clarity washed over him. "What do we do now?" Malik asked. Jordan said, "We submit this to the state attorney. And we prepare for a deeper fight." Cora added, "And we make sure Malik's safe." But Malik shook his head. "No. We make sure the truth is heard." Jordan looked at him closely. "You're sure? This will escalate everything." Malik steadied his breath. "It already has." The next morning, Malik woke to a storm of noise online. News anchors reported the dashcam leak, though no one knew Daniels was the source. Support for Malik surged. Protests doubled. Celebrities spoke out. Communities rallied. But the retaliation grew too. Anonymous accounts posted Malik's address, quickly removed but seen by many. Hate messages doubled. More threats, more hostility. Cora paced the living room, phone in hand. "We need more security." Jordan nodded. I'll handle it. Malik stared at his phone, scrolling through mentions, messages, articles. It was dizzying. Then a new notification appeared. Video. Walker speaking to a local reporter, furious, red-faced. I won't let a pampered singer ruin my life, Walker said. He's lying. He's manipulating. And I'll reveal the real truth soon. Malik's blood ran cold. He's not backing down. Jordan exhaled. He's cornered. Cornered men lash out. A knock sounded at the door. Security called in from outside. Mr. Rivers. It's Officer Daniels. Malik exchanged a glance with Cora and Jordan. Jordan whispered. He wouldn't come unless something was very wrong. Malik opened the door. Daniels stood there, pale, sweating, eyes darting around. Mr. Rivers, he said shakily. I need to talk to you. Walker, he's planning something. Malik stepped aside. Come inside. Daniels entered, voice barely above a whisper. This isn't just about the stop anymore, he said, trembling. Walker wants to ruin you. And he's not acting alone. Malik's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Daniels swallowed hard. He has supporters, officers, people who think you're trying to destroy the department. And they'll do anything to protect him. Silence crashed into the room. Malik felt the weight of everything closing in. But beneath the fear, something fiercer sparked. The fight was no longer about one night. It never had been. Daniels sat on the edge of Malik's couch like he was perched on a cliff, one wrong breath away from falling. His hands shook against his knees. Malik, Jordan, and Cora formed a tight semicircle around him, each trying to process the silence that followed his warning. Malik finally spoke. Daniels. Tell me everything. No holding back. Daniels swallowed, throat bobbing. Walker's furious. He knows the audio leaked. Even if he doesn't know I'm the one who leaked it. He's calling in favors. He's meeting with certain officers off duty. Guys who owe him, guys who think he's some kind of hero. Jordan leaned forward. What exactly are they planning? Daniels rubbed his face. Smear campaigns. More harassment online. And, possibly trying to bury internal files before an official inquiry starts. Cora swore under her breath. Classic cover-up. Daniels flinched. He's dangerous, Mr. Rivers. You don't understand. He doesn't care about rules. He never did. If he feels threatened, he'll take everyone down with him. Malik's voice stayed steady. What about you? Are you safe? Daniels hesitated. I don't know. Jordan exhaled sharply. We'll make sure you're protected. But right now we need to act fast. Hours later, Malik, Jordan, and Cora were seated in the office of State Attorney Elaine Porter, a sharp-eyed woman whose presence carried the weight of a courtroom even without her robe. Porter folded her hands. I listened to the dashcam audio 3 times, she began. It's incriminating. Very incriminating. Malik shifted. Then what happens next? Porter looked directly at him. This isn't just about you, Mr. Rivers. This is about systemic misconduct. If we go forward, it will spark an internal review, possibly a federal civil rights investigation. And when the system cracks, it cracks loudly. Jordan nodded. We're aware. And prepared. Porter raised an eyebrow. Prepared. You're already facing threats. Officer Walker still has allies. You're going to be the center of a storm. Malik met her gaze. I've been in a storm since the moment he pulled me over. Porter studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. Very well. I'm opening an investigation. We'll subpoena Walker's records, his internal files, and any complaints tied to his name. Cora exhaled a breath she'd been holding. Thank you. Porter lifted a pen. Thank you for having the courage to expose this. The news broke an hour later. State Attorney launches civil rights investigation into Officer Walker. The headline ran across every screen. Commentary exploded. Former officers debated. Lawyers speculated. Protesters gained momentum. By evening, hundreds more gathered outside the precinct, holding signs that read, "Justice for Malik. Stop racial profiling. No more walkers." Malik watched from his living room, heart pounding. Cora turned to him. "This is bigger than music. Bigger than fame." Jordan stood near the window. "Brace yourself. Walker won't stay quiet." As if on cue, Malik's phone buzzed. A notification. Walker posted a public video. Malik clicked it. Walker appeared in uniform, jaw tense, eyes blazing. "I have served this city for 15 years, he growled. "I won't let a spoiled celebrity destroy my reputation." He's twisting what happened. He resisted. He escalated. And mark my words, when the truth comes out, he'll regret every lie. Malik's breath froze. "He's doubling down," Cora said. "Hard." Jordan clenched his jaw. "Because he's scared." Malik looked at the screen again. The rage in Walker's face, the bitterness, the entitlement. He whispered. "He still doesn't see what he did was wrong." "No," Jordan replied. "He never will. People like him think power equals righteousness." Malik swallowed. "What do we do now?" Jordan turned to him. "Now you speak." "To who?" "To everyone." The next morning, Malik stepped out onto his front porch, where a small crowd of journalists waited. He felt jittery but not weak. Cora stood behind him, hand on his shoulder. Jordan hovered nearby. A reporter called out, "Malik, do you have a response to Officer Walker's video?" Malik steadied himself. "Yes." Microphones rose like metal flowers. Malik's voice was firm. "Officer Walker is trying to make me the problem, because admitting what he did would shatter his entire worldview. But the evidence speaks for itself. The dashcam shows his intent. The video shows his actions. And the investigation will show his pattern." Another reporter asked, "Are you afraid?" Malik hesitated, then answered honestly, "Yes, I'm afraid. But being afraid won't make me lie. And it won't make me disappear." Cora blinked back tears. A third reporter asked, "Why are you continuing this fight?" Malik looked out at the crowd. "Because I lived through something thousands have lived through," he said. "Because I have a platform they don't. And because silence doesn't fix anything. Truth does." Cameras clicked rapidly. Jordan whispered beside him, "Perfect." But Malik wasn't done. "And to every person who has been stopped, threatened, or humiliated for the crime of existing, this isn't just my story. It's yours. And we deserve justice." The crowd erupted in noise. Cheers, chanting, questions. Malik stepped back, shaken by the intensity. Cora grabbed his hand. "You're leading something, Malik." He shook his head. "I don't want to lead." "Maybe not," she said. "But you're doing it anyway." Days passed. The investigation deepened. Reporters revealed that Walker had 24 prior complaints, all dismissed. Community outrage soared. Victims from years earlier stepped forward with trembling voices and shared stories that echoed Malik's. A mother. "He stopped my son for walking home after basketball practice." A retired teacher. "He told me I looked out of place." A college student. "He put his hand on his gun when I asked a question." Each story wove a pattern that could no longer be ignored. Internal Affairs suspended Walker pending the outcome. But that night Walker posted again, angrier, louder, unraveling. "You want a war?" he shouted in the video. "Fine. I'll reveal the truth soon. All of it." Jordan watched the clip with a sigh. "He's cracking," Cora whispered. "Or preparing." Malik stared at the screen, unease settling into his bones. Whatever Walker planned next, it wasn't going to be quiet. The hearing room felt like a stage without music. Bright lights, cameras humming, the air thick with tension. Malik sat beside Jordan at a long wooden table, hands clasped tight. Rows of spectators filled the seats. Reporters lined the back wall. The police oversight board sat elevated, their expressions carved from stone. Cora stood behind Malik, a steady presence. On the opposite side of the room sat Officer Walker, jaw clenched, uniform immaculate, eyes burning holes through Malik. The board chair, Ms. Ramirez, struck her gavel. This hearing is now in session. We will review allegations of misconduct, racial profiling, and abuse of authority involving Officer Trent Walker. Walker leaned forward. This is a farce. Ramirez didn't blink. You'll speak when called upon. Walker sat back seething. Jordan whispered to Malik, stay calm. Truth is enough. Malik nodded, though the pounding in his chest didn't agree. Ramirez addressed him. Mr. Rivers, we'll begin with your testimony. Please describe what you experienced the night of the traffic stop. Malik inhaled slowly. I was driving home from rehearsal. I wasn't speeding. Followed every rule. The lights appeared behind me out of nowhere. Did Officer Walker explain why you were stopped? No, Malik said. He said I was suspicious. He never defined it. Murmurs rippled through the audience. What happened next? Ramirez asked. He ordered me out of the car. He circled me. He made comments implying I didn't belong in a nice vehicle. He tightened the cuffs until my wrists bruised. Malik's voice wavered. I was terrified. Walker scoffed loudly. You're performing just like always. Jordan shot up. Madam Chair. Ramirez slammed the gavel. Officer Walker, you will remain silent unless addressed. Walker folded his arms but smirked at Malik. Ramirez continued. Thank you, Mr. Rivers. You may step back for now. Malik moved aside, heart thumping. Officer Walker, Ramirez said. Your response. Walker stood, shoulders squared. This entire narrative is fabricated. Mr. Rivers resisted. He raised his voice. He became aggressive. Play the dashcam audio, Ramirez ordered. Tech hit the button. Static. Then the unmistakable voice of Walker. Got a VIP tonight. Let's see how the superstar reacts when he's treated like the rest of them. Gasps filled the room. Walker's face drained of color. That audio is manipulated. Ramirez held up a hand. We verified the file. It matches department metadata. Continue lying, and you'll add obstruction to the list. Whispers swelled. Jordan leaned toward Malik. This is the moment, Ramirez said. We will now hear testimony from Officer Daniel Brooks. Daniels rose slowly, trembling but resolute. His eyes flicked briefly to Malik before he approached the stand. Walker glared daggers at him. Ramirez asked gently, Officer Brooks, what do you know about the incident? Daniels swallowed. Sergeant Walker contacted me before the stop. He told me to pull up a photo of Mr. Rivers. Why? Ramirez asked. He wanted to confirm it was him, Daniels said. He said, and I quote, I want to knock the shine off him. A sharp gasp came from the audience. Cameras clicked rapidly. Walker shot to his feet. You liar! Sit down! Ramirez barked. Walker sat, fist clenched. Daniels continued, voice shaking. He targeted Mr. Rivers because he's black. Because he drives a luxury car. Because he didn't like the idea of a black man with that kind of success. Malik's breath caught. The truth wasn't whispered. It was spoken plain under bright lights. Ramirez asked, Did you witness any misconduct? Daniels nodded. Sergeant Walker intentionally escalated. He tightened the cuffs for no reason. He ignored Mr. Rivers' requests. He told me to shut up and follow. And he said, Daniels' voice cracked. He said he wanted Mr. Rivers to feel small. Ramirez let the words settle like a hammer. Thank you, Officer Brooks, she said softly. You may sit. Daniels returned to his seat, hands shaking violently. Malik glanced at him, mouthing, thank you. Daniels nodded, eyes wet. Ramirez turned to Walker. Officer Walker, do you have any evidence contradicting the dashcam audio or Officer Brooks' testimony? Walker rose slowly, rage boiling beneath his skin. All of this is a setup. Smear. You're all bending to public pressure. He's making me the villain because he wants sympathy. Ramirez raised an eyebrow. Is that your full statement? Walker slammed his palm on the table. I did nothing wrong. Security stepped forward. Jordan whispered to Malik. He's done. Ramirez nodded to the board. We've heard enough. The evidence presented shows clear misconduct, racial bias, and abuse of authority. Officer Walker's actions violated department policy and state civil rights standards. Walker's eyes widened. You can't. Ramirez continued. This board unanimously recommends immediate termination and referral for criminal prosecution. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, reporters scrambling. Cameras flashed like lightning. Walker lunged forward, but security restrained him. You ruined my life. Walker screamed at Malik. You hear me? You ruined me. Malik stood slowly, voice calm despite the shaking in his hands. You ruined yourself. Walker howled as officers dragged him out. Malik exhaled, a long, trembling release. Cora wrapped her arms around him. Jordan placed a steady hand on his back. Ramirez addressed the room. Justice must never be optional. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel struck. Malik closed his eyes. He had won. But the hollow ache in his chest didn't feel like victory. Felt like release. Heavy, painful, necessary. The courthouse steps were crowded with flashing cameras and murmuring voices, but Malik barely heard any of it. His body moved on muscle memory. Descend the stairs, breathe, step carefully, while his mind floated somewhere far behind him, like he hadn't caught up to his own life yet. Cora hooked her arm with his. You did it, she whispered. Malik shook his head slowly. I didn't do anything but tell the truth. Exactly, she said. And that was enough. Jordan walked on his other side, phone buzzing non-stop. The board's decision is trending everywhere. Most reactions are positive. Some not so much. Malik didn't ask for details. He didn't have the strength. The moment Walker was dragged out of the hearing replayed in his mind. Not with satisfaction, but with a cold, quiet ache. It was over. But it wasn't really over. When they reached the SUV, Malik paused before climbing in. Give me a minute, he said. Jordan nodded and guided Cora inside, closing the door softly. Malik stepped back from the vehicle and looked at the crowd. Supporters holding signs, strangers clapping, tearful faces thanking him for speaking up. He nodded to them, but his heart felt heavy, pulled in two directions, relief and grief. A reporter shouted, Malik, do you feel justice was served? Malik met her gaze. Justice is a journey, he said softly. Not a single moment. She lowered her microphone, surprised by the honesty. Malik turned away and finally climbed into the SUV. Hours later, home felt quieter than it had in weeks. Too quiet. Malik wandered through the living room, touching the back of the couch, the edge of the coffee table, as if reminding himself the world was real again. Cora appeared in the doorway. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry, he said. That's not an option anymore. She nudged him gently. Sit. He didn't argue. She brought a bowl of soup and placed it in front of him. He stared at it. Cora. Why doesn't this feel like a victory? She sat across from him. Because justice doesn't erase what happened. It just stops it from happening again. Malik nodded slowly. I keep thinking, I shouldn't have had to fight this fight. No one should, she agreed. He pushed the bowl away and leaned back. I'm exhausted. Not physically. Just in my soul. Cora's eyes softened. Then rest. You've earned that. But Malik knew rest would come later. Not now. The next morning Malik woke before sunrise. He walked outside barefoot, letting the cold ground shock him awake. The sky was pale blue, the horizon glowing with early light. Jordan stepped onto the porch a moment later. Couldn't sleep either. No, Malik said. Jordan leaned against the railing. Walker was officially booked this morning. They charged him with civil rights violations, falsifying reports, and abuse of authority. Malik closed his eyes briefly. I don't want to celebrate someone going to jail. You're not celebrating, Jordan said gently. You're witnessing accountability. It's different. Malik hesitated, then nodded. I guess. They stood in silence until Jordan added, There's more. Other victims are contacting us. They want to meet you. They say your story gave them courage. Malik's breath caught. Meet me. They want someone who understands. Someone who stood up. Malik looked out over the yard. Set up a meeting. I want to hear them. Jordan nodded. That afternoon, 4 people sat in Malik's living room. An elderly man with trembling hands, a college student twisting a baseball cap, a mother holding her teenage son's shoulder, and a woman in scrubs. They shared their stories in fragile voices. He stopped me 3 times in 1 month, the college student said. He told me my car didn't match my face, the nurse whispered. He slammed my son on a hood, the mother said through tears. He told me I looked like a burglar, the elderly man murmured. Malik listened without interrupting. Every word hit him like a bruise. When they finished, the room fell silent. The teenage boy looked at him. How did you do it? You weren't scared. Malik swallowed. I was terrified, he said quietly. I still am. But fear doesn't mean weakness. Fear means you survived something you shouldn't have had to. And speaking about it, that's how you take back your power. The boy nodded, blinking fast. When they left, Malik leaned against the door, tears burning in his eyes. So many stories. So much pain hidden behind polite silence. He whispered to himself, no more silence. That evening, Malik sat at his piano for the first time in weeks. His fingers hovered uncertainly above the keys. He inhaled, exhaled, then pressed down on a single note. A low, aching sound vibrated through the room. He added another note, then another. Soon a melody formed, soft, sorrowful, trembling. Cora peeked in but didn't interrupt. Malik whispered lyrics under his breath, words about fear in the dark, about headlights turning into judgment, about a voice reclaiming itself. The song wasn't angry. It wasn't triumphant. It was honest. Cora stepped forward. Malik, that's beautiful. It hurts, he whispered. That's how you know it matters. He nodded slowly. I think this is what healing sounds like. 2 weeks later, Malik performed the finished song privately for a small gathering of community members and advocates. The room fell silent as his voice carried through every corner, gentle, cracked in places but real. When he finished, the applause wasn't loud. It was soft, respectful, healing. After the performance, a journalist approached. Malik, your song is being called an anthem. How do you feel about that? Malik smiled tiredly. I didn't write an anthem. I wrote my truth. If people hear their own truth in it, then that means everything. The journalist nodded. What's next for you? Malik thought for a long moment. I'm going to live, he said finally. With all the weight. And all the light. That night, Malik walked through the city streets alone, hands in his pockets. The traffic hummed softly. People passed without recognizing him. For once, anonymity felt like safety instead of erasure. He paused under a street lamp. The glow cast a gentle halo around him. He breathed in deeply, slow, steady. He remembered Walker's voice. He remembered the cuffs. He remembered the fear. But he also remembered the people who stood with him. The truth spoken under bright hearing lights. The victims who found their voices. The song he wrote. The world finally listening. He whispered to the quiet street. I'm still here. For the first time in a long time, the words didn't feel like defiance. They felt like victory. Not the loud kind. Not the triumphant kind. The kind that lives in the heart and keeps beating.